Hey guys, welcome to Executive Espresso. And gosh, we got a show for you today. We have on board, on tap, freshly brewed for you, a podcast provocateur, a social media firebrand. I'm sure a lot of you guys know her. It's integrity over everything with Katie, healing with a side of conspiracy. She is a controversy connoisseur and a networking ninja. I first met her when she invited me to be on her podcast, and she's going to talk all about that. But we're going to talk about the intersection of business, psychology, and conspiracy with a dab of politics. And KT is just the one to talk to us about that. So, Katie, hey, welcome aboard. Thanks for being here. Don't you look great today?
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Heath. Heath. I had
Heath,
it right the
yeah,
first
yeah,
time.
Heath and Health, and
Listen, Dr. Heath, I keep telling myself that it's not health. I remember when you said my mom did not name me health, and I said, okay. Um,
that would have been kind of
so
weird, wouldn't it? So she named me
yeah,
after
exactly.
a candy bar instead.
Right, exactly. Weird coincidence. Right. So thanks so much for having me. Good morning, everyone. Be sure to share this out to your friends. I'm excited to be here and talk about all things truther.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some healthy aspects of that, maybe some unhealthy aspects. Speaking of health, Katie is in the coffee business. I'm not drinking coffee now. This is actually apple cinnamon spice tea. But
Oh,
I
yum.
am, you guys may notice I'm sweating because I just finished my 5K, wiped the sweat off, put a kind of a blue collar shirt on here for you guys, and my spectacles that are color coded, and we're ready for a deep, dark roast of actionable information. So tell us a little bit about your podcast. What kind of things do you guys address on your podcast?
Oh, my goodness. So many things. So essentially, I'm a variety podcaster. Right now, politics is very hot. And because I really believe in patriotism and being active as a citizen, all August long, I brought in different guest speakers to talk about the many ways that people could get involved with voter action is what I branded it. And this is going to be being a poll worker, being a poll watcher, becoming a precinct committeeman, how to sign up for school board, how to be vigilant while you're going to vote, and understanding your state election laws. So they're going to be different in every state. And we just reviewed some of those things and pointed people in the right direction for getting active. I always bring on a special guest speaker, no matter the topic. I love talking about health. I love talking about homesteading. And through all the things, my goal is with every show to give our listeners an actionable item to improve their truth or lifestyle because we can go down all the rabbit holes we want to. But if we don't encourage action, what's kind of the point of knowing the information? So that's my spin on truth or lifestyle.
Well, and so my next question is, do you find that sometimes people can, I mean, can people actually go too far with some of these, conspiracies or even the truth or lifestyle, and do they, and how do they kind of avoid that? How do they stay centered?
Right. So that is another perspective that I'm doing. Like I said, trying to incorporate the truth, but with an actionable item. And let's uncover the truth, but how can we leave this 1 hour episode feeling better and knowing that we can do something better? Because there's a lot of mistruths, especially when it comes to the health industry. So, a lot of pharmaceuticals being distributed, people misusing those things, not understanding what health is, what whole foods are. And then you kind of brought up the quote unquote conspiracy, which I kind of take a different look at that. And I say, I believe that the government and world governments actually conspire against the people. And so, I know that the term conspiracy and conspiracy theorist is very popular. That's a great way to kind of shut down a conversation with somebody that has alternative information. Is to say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist," and that's where we get into the mental because of the name calling when it comes to trying to have a conversation, be it well informed or well articulated or not. We our voices were truly suppressed, I believe, during the pandemic, and a lot of people, between feeling left out, shut out, told to sit down and shut up. We're still facing a lot of censorship and there's not been a lot of healing post pandemic. So I think that a lot of people are really suffering with PTSD of having their entire lives flipped upside down and then rebranded as the new normal. And we're feeling like there's nothing really normal about what's happening.
Well, and now let me dig into an aspect of that. So I would guess that you get into a lot of difficult conversations, and some of these conversations may be with people in your personal life that may disagree with you. So, how would
Yeah.
you recommend that people from different aspects of that conversation develop an ability to have a conversation and still disagree?
So for my approach, because living kind of in the truth or realm, right? I hear a lot of different things, and not all of it is true, but some of it is almost plausible, right? Like I said, as far as the government's conspiring. So I personally try not to attack people who are unknowing. I try to meet in a middle ground. I try to ask questions to see where people are, as well as ask questions about certain things instead of just telling them everything I know. People don't want to be talked at, they want to be spoken to and have a conversation with, right? So, and I've seen both sides of it. I have plenty of friends who get in these huge arguments with family, and family is just so important to me that even though we disagree, I think that it's important that I put in an effort on my end to present the information in such a way to where it's not argumentative. And that doesn't mean we never get into arguments about it, because it's happened, because they've been so far off of maybe what's real, and they typically get passionate first. We'll call it passionate, right? They'll get passionate in the argument first. But just so long as nobody's walking away in tears or writing anyone out of the will, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that, chop, 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 cut people off. And one of the things I recommend is when you're in a conversation and the other person is catastrophizing or
Mhm.
awfulizing that, how dare you, wow, that is a really big coffee cup.
It's as
That's
big
like
as
a
my head.
that's like a soup cup that's a coffee cup. That's fantastic. I gotta get me one of those.
It
Uh,
used to say mama on it. It says mama needs some coffee, but the mama that was in gold is no longer
on
there. But
camera,
yeah,
that coffee cup actually looks like it's as big as your head. It's
yes,
wild. Yeah, that's
exactly.
awesome. So when you get into conversations and the other person is catastrophizing, a great skill is to not catastrophize their catastrophizing. And I think if you're a free speech advocate, which I am, and I would guess that people in the truth or lifestyle are free speech advocates, then
Yeah.
people have the right to disagree with you. What
Yes.
sense does it make to have free speech if it only extends up and to the point that someone disagrees with you? So I'm happy to hear that there are ways that you believe that folks can speak what they believe and then they can disagree on those things. But quickly, we have about 8 minutes left. How can businesses? I mean, how do businesses tiptoe around this? Because on X, for instance, advertisers simply are not going to drop ads on accounts where they think that people could take offense and that would lose them business. It's really just for them, it's a business proposition. And I think X, as a business, is very attentive to that. So I think that they kind of are controversy shy or controversy hesitant. You're in the coffee business, so how would you recommend that businesses tiptoe around conspiracies?
Well, it's funny how they've really exposed their moral compass, because there's plenty of things that are offensive that are considered mainstream and meant to kind of be shoved in people's faces. But when you come to truth or lifestyle, a lot of times that includes Christianity, alternative news, more deep dive research. It's funny that all of a sudden they're worried about offending people. Uh, I don't really agree with what it is they're doing, because as a business person, what's popular is popular, what's trending is trending, and going catering to the majority is always better than catering to the minority, in my opinion. When it comes to business IRL, not just online ads, I find that it's okay to not take a stand one way or another. Like, for instance, being in the coffee business, there's no reason for me to advertise, hey, we're conservative, or I'm a Christian, or any of those things. And I think that's a two-way street. Like, just as much as, like, I don't care if someone is part of the gay community or trans community or some other minority group. I think that those things are actual deterrents for business, and it should just be about your brand. And you can stand for something. Like, for instance, we're in America. It's great to be an American. Like, we can celebrate the 4th of July, we can celebrate Juneteenth, and people's independence. We can even celebrate Cinco de Mayo, even though that's not directly correlated to the United States of America. So independence and freedom is, to me, what's on brand for America, for United States, as opposed to all of these other things that people might not feel are appropriate. So, MAGA hats are extremely offensive to people for some reason. Saying you vote for Trump is offensive to people for some reason. But they want to act flabbergasted when you're supporting the gay community, and that's offensive to people for some reason. Maybe they're not ready to have those conversations with their children or whatever it is. But I say people need to focus on their own brand. And if you have a good product, you're going to be successful. And the last thing I will kind of throw in there is a caveat about Vivek Ramaswamy. So before he ran for president, he wrote 2 books. And one of them was about his stance against the woke ideology within his company. So this guy is running a Fortune 500 company, very successful, and he's actually was liberal. And people be free speech, free to love who you want to love, right? But in the turn of events where the gay community and BLM were ever prevalent, he wanted to give a statement like, just a regular statement. I support people's right to choose and right to protest, but that was not good enough. And he was basically met with another document that he's supposed to put out that he didn't believe in. And that's where events really started to turn for him. And I think a lot of our nation could benefit from reading that book and learning a little bit more about what it is to stand up for your beliefs and walk away from an ideology you feel might be being forced upon you. And that's any ideology,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah. And as a business person, the way I kind of look at it is, are you, if you have your business hat on, are you marketing and selling a product, or you're marketing and selling a ideology? So
Right.
it's really up to you. But it's if you're selling the ideology, then let's just say coffee, then coffee is more or less a hobby, not your product, because what you're really selling is an ideology. And
Yeah.
so, as a psychology guy in business, I would recommend for businesses to focus on your business,
Yeah.
and where you're advertised. I don't think that where you're advertised has to indicate your ideology. I think that it's to sell your product. And so, let's just take the MAGA thing. It really, really shocked me that all I do is psychology. I'm really not in politics all that much. I'm really just in psychology. But I actually put up hashtags on social media platforms that are hashtag friendly, because I know it feeds it to different communities. Well, I was actually on TikTok, and I put hashtag Make America Great Again, which I'm not really political. I just thought, well, that is a community that probably is also interested in healthy mindset
Yeah.
and healthy psychological things. And I put that hashtag, and I got banned. I got banned simply for using a hashtag. Now, I think that's a problem.
Yeah, very much.
And so, yeah, I think as a business owner. One of my favorite scriptures is wise as serpents, gentle as doves. And so do what you do, but be very wise about it. Now, we're about to run out of time here, so let's just quickly go into what I would call or what I call a 15-second triple shot. So for Katie, what is your current top mindset struggle?
Breathing and it's slowing down.
I love that. Breathing, slowing down. What's your best mindset hack?
To try to remember to breathe and slow down.
If you'll do that, it makes all the difference in the world. And thirdly, before you really got into this lifestyle, what did you have most wrong about it? I mean, once you really began to live it, what did you see that you might have had wrong about it?
I think just the way that truthers are portrayed via media, like most other groups that's portrayed via media, it's always the bad. It's always about basically like a psychopath or an obsessed, extremely obsessed person. And that's just not the case. I move from topics very fluidly. I don't have one particular genre that it's like I need to spend all of my time digging and researching. I'm very happy to get the gist of the information to make a good decision for my life and be able to move on.
Fantastic. And before we finish up today, how can folks get in touch with you? Where can they find your stuff?
Okay, so predominantly on X, to be honest with you, I am a little bit censored on Instagram. I'm new to TikTok, so if you guys follow me on TikTok, that would be awesome. But I just have a feeling that I'll get banned before you know it. A lot of censorship happening there, but definitely on X, and you can find my link tree penned in my bio. If I could do a shout out really quickly, next Wednesday is going to be September 11th. And, that was a very important day for our nation. And that was a very important day for the truther community. It woke a lot of people up as information progressed. But nevertheless, I'm going to have on 3 retired New York policemen. And two do one show, one does another show. And we're going to be talking about the corruption within New York within New York and their police department and their politics, as well as do a little bit of memory and tribute to the victims of 9/11, of course. But it just so happens that it wind up landing on that Wednesday for that show. And I was like, guys, this is 9/11, and I'm talking with all New Yorkers. So I'm really excited about that. That's pinned to my profile, and I would love if you guys could join me, and we'll have audience participation for that space.
Wow, that'd be amazing. Like most people, I still remember exactly where I was when that happened. I was sitting
Yeah.
in my office. I had an old TV, not a LED TV, and I was talking to a colleague of mine in New York, and he said, "Are you watching this?" And like most people, I was just stunned. It was one of those things you just could not believe was happening. So yeah, don't forget September 11th. Well, how about let's leaving our audience or listeners with a great affirmation to go into the weekend with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, most recently, I am remembering that not everything on the internet is real. Okay. People sometimes like to upset you by being argumentative. But while you're holding that device, if you start feeling angry or like you're trying to convey something that people are not understanding, I encourage you to just simply put the phone down. We have a real life, and we can't be so focused on watching other people live their lives. We have to remember to live our lives as well. Definitely tune into the podcast, and you can get some great tips on incorporating just basically fun hobbies and things that will help you become sufficient and sustain your life. That's the most important. And always remain grateful. Throughout the day, thanking God and just being aware of my surroundings and how good I really have it. I'm just so all glory to God for that. I'm really incredibly grateful. So thanks for
Thank you.
having
We're
me.
grateful for you. Thank you for being here. And yeah, gratitude is a superpower. So try that out. When you find yourself catastrophizing, substitute that with gratitude. You'll be amazed how it changes your life. Katie, thanks so much again. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back 1 week from today with another guest. And until then, go out and do something healthy this weekend. Bye bye, everybody.